Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So over the last couple months, we have been witnessing some pretty big moves happening around crypto regulations. And if we really think about what's been happening, so far, it's been pretty small in terms of the effect on the markets, outside of course, like stablecoins. One thing that we have been talking about for years and years and years is how regulations will ultimately completely restructure this entire space, and how it will ultimately cause 99% of this market to just be eviscerated. And I still believe that even now, because when we think about how many meme coins are out there, back in 2023, roughly, it was like 24,000 coins in total. Now it's actually up past like over 10 million or so coins. Like, it is just getting to the point where it's oversaturated. It's ridiculous. There's a lot of nonsense in this space. And a lot of people, including even myself, have been screaming for proper regulations so that we can see projects like XRP or HBAR or QNT become extremely valuable, which I do believe will happen once we do have proper regulations to actually open doors of opportunity for these projects, for this tech to also be fully mass adopted and integrated within the actual global financial system. Now, if we go and look at March 16th, we have Mika deliver stablecoins with critical regulatory oversight. This was actually a pretty big update when it comes to like the end of December of last year. We know that even now, Mika is continuing to make a lot of noise around the stablecoin market. Now, stablecoins are going to be like one of the first pieces of this space to be fully regulated because of how big stablecoins are actually becoming. We know more and more people are utilizing stablecoins for payments every single year, and even the value of them is surging massively, upwards of $200+ billion. So in my opinion, this is definitely warranted, and it's something that needs some urgent moves being made to make sure that stablecoins are safe to utilize, and also for the entire stablecoin space to grow significantly more. But outside of this, if we go over here, we know Argentina actually recently just stepped up its game in terms of the crypto space. The Argentine securities regulator, CNV, has published Resolution 1058, introducing new compliance rules for virtual asset service providers as part of the oversight established by Law 27.739. Now, again, these regulations are going to ultimately allow, in Argentina, exchanges to avoid what was happening, for an example, with like FTX. We have these regulations require VASPs to provide extensive documentation, security plans, and even fund reserves, while also ensuring customer awareness of operational risk. A key feature is the segregation of customer and exchange assets aimed at protecting users from potential crises like FTX. And I think that this is great. I think that's a game changer now. A lot of these new regulations will take effect later on this year. In this case, it's December 31st of this year. But this is just one area that's actually moving forward with crypto regulations. Now, if Argentina is moving forward with crypto exchange regulations, or just crypto regulations in general, what does that tell you about all of the additional nations out there? They are also going to move forward on this. In fact, a lot of them have already started to regulate exchanges in a big way and make a lot of changes around this space. Now, on top of this announcement, we also got Turkey. So Turkey just intensified crypto regulation as well. Now, again, crypto regulation around exchanges and custodians is a big deal. And Turkey intensifying this is also a big significant confirmation around almost every other nation now planning ahead. We're starting to see the regulatory race accelerating in a big way. And we actually have here that regulations are tightening. Turkey is imposing stricter rules on crypto exchanges and custodians. The Capital Markets Board, CMB, expands its oversight of crypto platforms. Anti-money laundering standards are about to be greatly enhanced as well. And I do believe that we are about to witness some very big moves happening around crypto outside of the US. I mean, Mika is a big one that a lot of nations are actually harmonizing with. But outside of that, we also know that the US is pushing forward on stablecoin regulations. We also know that the US market is really kind of opening doors for the big banks to actually be a part of this in a big way. We know SAP 121 was a huge, big move, but also the OCC recently making that big shift to, to completely break down all of the barriers that were restricting banks to adopt and actually offer crypto services. That was another big move. And it shows you that almost everyone, including the US, is now racing towards having proper crypto regulations because they want to be the first ones out to really accept, adopt, and integrate this tech because they know how big of a deal it actually is to be first when it comes to something as big as crypto. Now, also, when we think about Ripple, right, we know that Ripple has been moving very quick on a lot of big moves. For an example, partnering with some very large organizations that are fully compliant. And we know that these are big players that are also fully regulated as well in specific areas. In this case, it's actually Korea, in South Korea. And when we think about that, right, we also put a highlight on utility, right? Utility is the driver here. Everyone should be focused on utility. We've been looking at a lot of the moves made, even for an example, the recent one with the DIFC, with Ripple becoming DFSA licensed to offer regulated crypto payments. That's the big focus here. Regulated crypto payments. Now, I'm bringing this back up because of what we are seeing now in terms of the heightened regulatory shift for crypto. I want to highlight the fact that there's so much utility around Ripple and XRP. We have here, with clear regulations and growing demand, Dubai is the place to be for blockchain-powered payments, and Ripple is there. But also, Ripple is in a lot of big areas that are preparing for crypto regulations. For an example, the UK, obviously the US, Singapore, South Korea, Brazil. I mean, all of these areas are now prepping for the big regulatory shift. And now when we think about that, we also go over here to this post. Do you guys remember this post? I brought it up in a video previously outlining the timeline on regulations. Now, this is telling us that we have a few big months in front of us. Big shout out to Smoke Dog for this, by the way. This is the official schedule of the Presidential Working Group on Digital Asset Markets. Now, just to really kind of quickly summarize here, February already passed. We started to see some pretty big moves being made around the Treasury, the DOJ, and even the SEC, because they must identify all regulations, guidance documents, orders, or other items that affect the digital asset sector. I feel as if a lot of the moves made recently really kind of heightened that there was a shift with these organizations. March of 2025, within 60 days, each agency must submit to the chair of the working group recommendations with respect to whether each identified regulation, guidance document, order, or other item should be rescinded or modified, or for items other than regulations adopted in a regulation. Now, again, this is with big players like the SEC and the CFTC as well. And then July of this year, within 180 days, the working group must submit a report to the president through the assistant to the president for national economic policy that recommends regulatory and legislative proposals that advance the policies established in this order. In particular, the report must focus on the following: a proposed federal regulatory framework governing the issuance and operation of digital assets, including stablecoins. This is why we are starting to see big moves being made when it comes to regulations of crypto in the US. Now, I bring all of this back up because there was recently a great video that got posted by Subjective Views, and it's actually from a YouTube video from Scott Melker. And this is with Dan Tapiero, founder, CEO, and CIO of 10T Holdings. He's actually mentioning Ripple and XRP in this video clip, but then he also goes on to say that 99% of speculative cryptos are going to zero. Check this out.
But altcoins have continued to bleed. There really hasn't been much performance of significance in the rest of the crypto market, which those who look at the cycles would have anticipated happening by now. What do you make of that?
Well, I think a lot of those things deserve to go to zero. And I think their venture investments, I think that, they're still searching for their, use case, some of them. I mean, look, I also think it's a problem that there seems to be an infinite amount of, let's say, meme coins on Solana. Even the Trump coin and other coins, they sapped a lot of liquidity from the market. But look, the altcoins, there's infinite supply. So, if you've developed a use case and there's network effect, I mean, if you take a look at some of the larger ones, Ripple, for instance, and other ones that have been around for a long time that have very high market values, they've sort of held in okay. I think just the most speculative end of the market is speculative. And 99% or 99.9% of those speculative tokens will end up going to zero. So I don't see anything different happening than has happened in any other cycle that we've been in.
And what he's talking about in terms of every other cycle that we've been in, we really kind of go back to major evolution of technology asset classes. We go back to the dot-com bubble, right? Now we know that many large trillion-dollar plus companies came from that, big boom and bust cycle. It's the same here, right? We know that crypto has a big bubble in it. We know that there's a lot of problems within this space. Everyone that is sitting here saying that, oh no, everything's all good in the crypto world is oblivious to what's actually going on here. We have AI coins that have $1 billion plus market caps or, $100+ million market caps. And guess what they do? Absolutely nothing. We have massive amounts of money pouring into projects that have zero use other than hype and speculation, or it's being shilled by somebody that got paid. There's a lot of issues here. Now, why do we talk about XRP? Why does a lot of people talk about what Ripple is doing? Well, think about it logically. XRP has massive amounts of utility tied to it. Ripple is a company that is tied to massive institutions, the government as well. They're meeting with major representatives from the US government and also even global government initiatives as well. It's working with the BIS and the CPMI group. And guess what Ripple is utilizing? They're utilizing XRP and the XRP-L technology. So when we think about what is happening around this space, when we think about the future for this space, we were warned many times over in the past as well from Brad Garlinghouse that 99% of the space will go to zero. It's very clear. It's common actually that, the only thing that actually has value in the space that will be left over is utility. It's just like the dot-com bubble, right? You had a lot of people selling billion-dollar plus companies when they should never have been valued at what they were valued at. It kind of goes back to when I talk about players like Mark Cuban, right? Like these people that got very lucky. And guess what? If you think that I'm calling him lucky and I'm hating on him, no, he even said it himself that he got very lucky. It was right around a time where, the entire market was extremely overvalued. You had a lot of these companies like Yahoo, for example, buying out companies for billions of dollars, and he got lucky. It's the same here, right? You have a lot of companies that are not, or a lot of projects that should not have the valuation tied to them, just like those companies, and people are eating it up. But we know that at some point in time, that bubble will burst, and what will be left over is utility-based projects. And Brad Garlinghouse told us this. Remember this. This is when Brad was actually a lot younger. This is when the market was also very early on. And even he saw it then. Now, at that time, there was not nearly as many projects as there are now. There was not nearly as much hype and speculation as there is now. And there's also not nearly as many meme coins. In fact, there wasn't really a lot of meme coins during this time. The only one was Dogecoin. And we have 99% of all crypto probably goes to zero. The other 1% is focused on solving real problems. Big shout out to XRP Drops for this. Check it out.
Ahead. I think, anytime there's a new market, there's a lot of people that run into that market and try to show that they can solve a problem, they can deliver a customer need. I have said publicly before that I think 99% of all crypto probably goes to zero. But there is that 1% where I think that is focused on solving a real problem for real customers and is able to do that at scale. And that's going to be game changing. And I think that's going to continue to grow significantly in the decades ahead.
And, I completely agree with them on this. I said this back in 2023 as well. I said, I believe this space is on a path to an event like the dot-com bubble, right? 24,000 plus projects at that time. Go look at CMC and tell me how many projects are actually in the space now. And I said that 99.9% of them probably don't create an ounce of value. People used to say 1%. I doubt it's even that. Focus on the blue chips and stack them. Simple. And I still live by this today, right? Like you can make bets on AI agents or AI-based projects, but we focus on the big utility projects. We focus on Track, for an example, around AI because it's confirmed to actually be utilizing AI in its solutions and it actually has utility. We focus on these utility projects because what else is there to grasp, right? Like there's not a lot here in this space yet to really kind of say, all right, well, that's where the big driver is around value. DeFi, yeah, there's some great use cases around DeFi, but we have not, witnessed any big adoption of DeFi protocols around big institutional players outside of like a few, right? That's why we focus on the blue chip DeFi gems too. We want to see actual use. Utility is the driver here. Utility at scale, because again, we focus on regulations. Once regulations are in place, that's when we get utility at scale. That's where everyone's focused right now. If you really want to make it in this space, if you really want to be a part of the new 1%, you will be focused on utility because that's where the big institutions are looking at. That's where all of the big players are looking at as well that have deep pockets. We look at utility. We focus on utility. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely like, subscribe, set notifications on for some more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.